This offense.
Carolina in white and blue, and Malcolm Feeney and Colgate in maroon as the 2020 college lacrosse season is underway here in Chapel Hill. And it's Feeney and the Raiders who come away with it. This is a Colgate team that opened their season last year going to an ACC team in Syracuse and winning that game. Clark certainly capable. What's the recipe to a win today?
They want to play fast. They don't run like the traditional defensive midfielders who are specialized in terms of what they do for their team. Coach Matt Carrick wants to run up and down. They are not going to slow the ball down against this North Carolina team that has a ton of athletes.
This is Ryan Decker, sophomore midfielder, trying to make something happen on the opening possession. Bounces in, and it's well handled by Caden Johnson. The sophomore who made an instant impact a year ago, played the final 6 games in goal for the Tar Heels and really gave them a boost.
He might be the most talented goaltender in all of Division I lacrosse. He's that good.
Another shot whizzes by Johnson's cage. Head coach Joe Bresci telling us the one thing that Johnson's added to his game, yeah, he made some great saves. Now the confidence, the voice in cage has really helped this defense. And an early turnover forced by that Tar Heels back line. Remember that 20-second clear clock. And the Tar Heels beat it by 5 seconds, and they can set up shop for their first offensive possession. Sean Collins in goal for Colgate, the sophomore, making really his first start as the starter. Came in a couple of games last season, but now it's his job. And he faces a loaded Tar Heels offense headlined by Chris Gray. Here's Gray now. Passing off a shot. Great save by Collins. He read it the whole way.
That's what Chris Gray will do for this midfield. You saw Will Perry with time and room. Last year, Will Perry was one of the main initiators, would come out of the box and everyone knew he was dodging. Now he's going to get those step-down shots with a player like Gray next to him.
Collins, risky pass, falls right to Chris Gray. One-on-one, he puts it in! Chris Gray opens his North Carolina scoring account, and the Tar Heels draw first blood in the 2020 season.
This can't happen if you're Colgate. You need to clear the ball with efficiency. Not the look that you want in the clear, and then Chris Gray. That's about as easy as a goal as you can have when you're 4 and white. Welcome to the party, young man.
The junior had pretty much his pick. Every program in the country would have taken him, but decided to come here to Chapel Hill.
Well, I think Joe Bresci and Dave Metzbauer, the offensive coordinator, obviously are ecstatic about this, because when you have a guy behind the cage like Gray, it just changes everything. You can't win a national title unless you have that presence behind the cage. They had it in 2016 with Nico Pontrello, or Stephen Pontrello, excuse me. Nico's his brother at Loyola. He had 50 goals, and he was that presence that opened up lanes for guys like Chris Cloutier.
They get it right back to Gray, an 111-point scorer in his sophomore year at BU. The North Carolina record is 73 points in a season. He will absolutely have his eyes on that, and already a quick goal to start his Tar Heel career. How about another? Chris Gray dumps it in, and he has 2 goals in 2 minutes to start the season.
Tremendous anticipation by Nikki Solomon, 8 and white, with patience. and they put Gray inside. And I think this is a really solid move. Everyone thinks Gray's going to be operating with the ball on his stick every time. You take the guy off ball, and Nicky Solomon, who spends some time with Mac Brown as a kicker on the Tar Heel football team, is the passer on that play. There's Joe Bresci.
In his 12th year as North Carolina head coach, it was 30 years ago. He actually graduated from his alma mater here in Chapel Hill. He told us about Chris Gray. We knew we were getting a complete player. He thinks he's even improved and become a better player than he was a year ago.
That goal tells me a lot because he's willing to work off ball. The ball doesn't have to be in his stick every possession. He's kind of acclimating himself to this offense. You will see him operating and going to the cage a lot, but his off-ball awareness and relying on teammates to make the right play. I love these first few minutes by Chris Gray.
He had 2 goals in 51 seconds to open his Tar Heels account. Against his Colgate team a year ago, he was on BU. He had no goals. They shut him out. He did have 5 assists in this game, but he is picking this defense apart early. From Justin Anderson, the senior, with a strike, and it's all Tar Heels early.
Pick your poison. You want to concentrate on Gray and Solomon behind? Well, this midfield with Anderson, Perry, and Cook are all seniors who've played a ton of lacrosse. And the last few seasons, they've been the primary initiators. Now they have room. They have room to sling it downtown.
Timeout, Colgate. It is all. What we've seen from the Tar Heels early, they have smashed Colgate right in the mouth to open this game.
They have. 2 things you need to look at if you're Colgate. Your off-ball defense. When Carolina's main initiators have the ball, where's the help, okay? Where's the communication? And can they handle the pressure of North Carolina? When Colgate has the ball defensively, Carolina will 10-man ride this team, meaning they'll just full-court press them. Early in the season, that is difficult to deal with. Having those guys up in your face and pressuring you when you got to clear.
And the first possession of this game came up empty, and then it was 3 straight North Carolina possessions leading to goals. Comfortable save there from the sophomore, Caton Johnson.
He's a big guy, covers a lot of the net. Righty netminder, that one's too easy. You got to make him work if you're Colgate.
Big storyline for North Carolina headed into this season. Uncharacteristic from this program under Joe Bresci, but they missed the postseason the last 2 years. He told us this year this team just has a different DNA. They are built complete, deep, ready to compete. Almost had another goal on the doorstep. Brian Cameron just couldn't handle it.
Let's see the pressure here. Yep, they're 10-man in again. You see the goalie out of the cage right now, Caton Johnson, full court press. If Colgate beats it, there'll be opportunities.
Johnson hurries right back to get into his cage and settled. Do you like that 10-man for the Tar Heels?
I do, because I think early on it's going to be tough for Colgate to deal with, but the opportunities are there. If you beat that 10-man in the middle of the field, you get the goalie back kind of on his heels, you can have a numbers situation there if you're Colgate. So it's feast or famine for North Carolina.
Griffin Brown cranks off the pipe. Inches away from the Raiders' first goal of the season.
That's his spot. He's got 18 extra man goals in his career. It's the most by a long shot for Colgate, and he does it from that spot. Slings it with the right hand.
They feed it back to Brown. Making that move from midfield to attack. Matt Carwick telling us we just want our best players to stay on the field. And he'll do that with that move. Nicky Petkovic looking to try and unlock this UNC defense. They've been really tight and compact to open up this first quarter. A lot of the chatter coming into this season, Clark, is that UNC, yeah, they got Chris Gray, they're loaded offensively. Do you trust the defense?
Well, you have a sophomore goalie who's logged a lot of minutes, and you have a star young defender in Will Bowen, who we'll talk about and see today, who can be one of the great defenders in all of college lacrosse. I think this kid, 24 and white, has potential to be a National Defender of the Year at some point in his career.
Making his debut today, highly anticipated Tar Heels debut. It's about a year late, tore his ACL before last season, so the redshirt freshman making his North Carolina first start. So far, the defense looking pretty good. Offense rolling along, too. 3 early goals for this Tar Heels team. Nikki Solomon curling around the cage, trying to dump it to Cameron. Still a little more than 30 seconds left to work with on the shot clock.
This guy's alone.
It falls to Chris Gray, and he'll make you pay. A first quarter hat trick for Chris Gray.
Watch the pass by Nikki Solomon. Looks like our producer when he plays pickup hoops, John Kettering, when he's dealing. That shovel pass, one-hander, bam. Wow, that is patience too. What I love about this play is Tanner Cook sees Solomon. A lot of times when you're in that spot, you're just rushing a shot off. His head's up, he sees the pressure and the defensive pressure on his back to spin his head around and give it to Gray. The awareness is as good as the pass.
That's the second time today Gray and Solomon have connected. That could be a dynamic duo to watch out for all season long. Colgate looking for a quick strike. Denied by Johnson again. Peyton Johnson picking it right where he left off a year ago. Could not have scripted a better start to this game for Chris Gray and the Tar Heels.
He's got 3 goals, and we haven't even seen what he does best, creating with the ball in his stick. He's playing off ball right now.
62 assists a year ago. Remember, North Carolina's point record is 73. Here's Gray again, looking to create.
Look at that pass.
That time denied by Sean Collins. It was a great feed, though.
That is a high-end pass. There's only a few guys in the country that do it at that level. Grant Ament from Penn State's another. The through pass, to me, separates the good passer from the great passer.
There's that 10-man ride again from Joe Bresci's team. Risky pass, but it pays off for the Raiders. Trying to get that transition offense going, and they've really failed to do it today.
And here's the issue for Colgate. When you speak to their head coach, Matt Carwick, he wants to play fast. He wants to take chances. But your offense isn't in sync, so now you kind of struggle with, do we need a possession here, or do we continue to play fast?
Well, they have continued to play fast, and they've continued to turn the ball over and give North Carolina plenty of chances in this opening quarter. First line midfield for Carolina, Tanner Cook, Justin Anderson, and William Perry, 3 seniors, and Joe Bresci's really high on how these 3 guys will play with a loaded attack headlined by Chris Gray. Here's Anderson here. He's got a goal to his name. Anderson puts it in the top left corner. Justin Anderson has 2, and North Carolina is rolling to start the 2020 season.
This offense is relentless. You got the quarterback in Chris Gray. His head's always up. He's spotting his guys. So it's been all Tar Heels with this relentless approach. Everyone's coming to the party. You saw Chris Gray. You saw Nicky Solomon feeding. You see Justin Anderson converting. No one is questioning this offense. The big question for the Tar Heels coming in, is the defense mature enough? I will tell you, this offense will give this defense time to grow up because they're that good. A lot of times you hear the opposite in sports. There's no problem with having an offense that puts so much pressure on the opposing defense that your defense then gets to play at a level head.
Did you say Caden Johnson? You started the show by saying he might be the best goalie in this league, in this country.
You're young. You have a sophomore goalie. You have Will Bowen, who was out last year, who was the best high school defender in the country in high school in 2018. He's got 4 years of eligibility. A lot of upside.
Chris Gray is on fire! Quick trigger and he drills it. 4th goal of the game, and we're still in the first quarter.
This is nuts. Because we talk about Gray in regards to being the quarterback and getting everyone else involved. They're using him now as the finisher. He's got 4 goals already. Colgate does not know how to play this guy. Off ball, they're really struggling because I think coming into this game, you're thinking that Gray is the initiator. Where are you going to slide from when he has the ball? Well, guess what? He doesn't have the ball. He's got 4 goals today, but the ball's been in his stick for less than 20 seconds.
And if you're the Colgate coaching staff, you're thinking that for good reason. When he was on Boston University a year ago, he was the feeder. 0 goals, didn't look to score, but had 5 assists. He's completely changed it up this season, and not only getting the opportunities, but that last shot, I mean, he's just blowing it by Sean Collins.
And here's the problem for opponents. You're going to turn on the tape here, and you're going to worry about Chris Gray off ball. And then the next time you play against him, he'll have the ball in his stick the majority of the time, and he'll be dealing. Pregame, we were talking to Kendall Harden, who's the SID here, and she was telling us about records at North Carolina. I'm saying to myself, you know, I'm worried about individual scoring records in a game for Chris Gray. This is his first game. Well, guess what? Head on a swivel.
On your left now. Come on, we gotta switch. Sticks up.
The stat that Kendall shared with us, Bruce Ledwith in 1973 had 11 points. That's still in one game. That's still the record, 11 points.
And Kendall, in her debut as SID, she's got to fill the shoes of Dave Losey, who was part of UNC for 40 years and just an incredible SID and ambassador to the sport of lacrosse. We'll miss Dave, but he's hovering around here. He's watching the games. He's still living in town, so we salute you, Dave.
Everybody's, hey, Dave, welcome back, welcome back. He says, I've only been retired a month. His Tar Heels team up 6-0. Colgate still looking for their opening goal. Another save made by Caden Johnson. So Bruce Ledwith, the guy we mentioned, is the record since 1973 for points in a game. He, I guess, was at the High Point scrimmage earlier this year, and he called Joe Bresci and said, I think my record's in danger.
Well, I tweeted earlier in the season, he's going to smash. He's going to smash the individual season record. You know, I know he played at BU, and some people say, oh, it's the Patriot League, but he's now around all of these horses. He's a 100-point scorer easy, I think.
Tanner Cook trying to split a double team, couldn't do it. North Carolina still has it, 35 seconds to work with. William Perry passing off. He likes to shoot. 26 goals last year, led the team. Brian Cameron. And now it's 7 for the Tar Heels in this first quarter to start the season.
He's a big boy. He's got a lot of experience. Played as a freshman a season ago. And with his attack background, he's used to going against a lot of long poles. Well, he just absolutely feasts on this shorty here. trips up the defender at X, and it's all about cashing in for Brian Cameron. Tremendous move on Jesse Rosenblatt, who got lost behind there.
And that's the thing with this North Carolina team that Joe Bresci was trying to tell us yesterday. If people want to focus on Chris Gray, that's fine. Nicky Solomon, Brian Cameron, a couple of guys we haven't seen today, Lance Tillman, Alex Trippi. These guys are more than capable of nightmare.
Lance Tillman, who wears number 0, when you see him in the game, this guy's got some serious shake. I was watching his high school tape because he's a freshman. He doesn't have any college tape. Watching his tape in the last couple of weeks, I love his explosiveness. It kind of reminds you he's a smaller guy. Not as small as maybe Jimmy Bitter or Joey Sankey, but he's got that little pop when he goes to the rack, and super explosive. So if you match him with a guy like Gray and Solomon, and then bring Cameron in through the box, you've got options. And I haven't even mentioned Alex Trippi. I mean, that's 5 really good attackmen.
Not to keep throwing names at everybody, but 2 guys that just came on for the first time, twin brothers out of Ohio, Henry and Harrison Schertzinger, number 2 and number 5 in white. Here's Harrison now with it. Very dangerous combination in their sophomore season. Seconds left in the quarter, trying for goal number 8. Collins got to that one, but what a start to this season for North Carolina.
It's been the Chris Gray show. He's been filling it up. Everyone knows Gray as a quarterback and a passer. Well, he's stinging it and hitting the back of the net. All Tar Heels.
Chris Gray could have gone anywhere, and it's interesting. We spoke with him. He noted the business school here at North Carolina as a big reason. Again, you could go anywhere. Why he decided to be a Tar Heel?
Well, it's my understanding that BU didn't have the business school, so an academic decision and a smart one by Chris Gray. You look at Dave Metzbauer, the offensive coordinator, and his ability to really play in a system and a scheme that can highlight a big-time attackman. And Metzbauer coached greats at Princeton for so many years, the 6 national titles there as an assistant. It's the kind of guy you want to play for.
You look at the stats of the first quarter. Colgate was only outshot 10-7. Got plenty of looks. Have one here. Johnson got a piece of it. And it was a crease violation, North Carolina ball. So again, Colgate's getting looks. They got one there. Just nothing to show for it.
They'll really need to hunker down on D from a communication standpoint. This is really the first time that their goalie, Sean Collins, is the guy.
Right. Last
year he had some spot duty, but this is a big moment for 49 for Colgate.
He has been battle-tested early in this game. 10 first quarter shots, all of them on goal. That one goes again. Justin Anderson notches his 3rd goal of the game, and it's 8-0 UNC.
This is turning into a beatdown, and we're seeing Carolina being very multiple. We've seen assisted goals where Chris Gray is off ball. We've seen Anderson down the alley. We've seen Cameron inverting from behind. So you've seen like 4 or 5 totally different looks from a versatile offense in this Carolina team. And I'm not just piling on now and jumping on the bandwagon. We were talking. I think this is a team that can contend in the ACC. The preseason rankings have them last. I mean, they're top 10 in the country, but 5th in the ACC out of the 5 teams who are all in the top 10. If this defense can mature throughout the course of the season, and they have a goalie in Caton Johnson, this offense, and we're seeing it right now, is extremely multiple.
Well, you say ACC. Joe Bresci, North Carolina head coach, said he thinks this team reminds him of that 2016 national championship team. Similar DNA, similar firepower offensively.
Well, they're deep at the midfield. They can run 6, 7, 8 guys offensively. who are all very different, too. I mean, you have a load in Tanner Cook, who's a lefty Canadian who just barrels through guys with the two-handed cradle, and then Anderson, the traditional midfielder with that north-south dodge that you just saw. So there's pieces there.
Another turnover from Colgate. North Carolina has taken this Raiders team completely out of their rhythm. 7 turnovers now. This has been one-way traffic. Trying to tiptoe on that end line. Get a turnover. North Carolina missing the last 2 postseason NCAA tournaments. They have come out with a point to prove. Timeout taken. Look at Matt Carwick, year number 2 with Colgate. His Raiders team have certainly started on the back foot, have dug themselves an 8-0 hole. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside as well. North Carolina continuing to start the season strong.
And we're back in 60.
All right, guys, we got time for one more.
All right, I'm getting this
Here we
one.
go. Here we go.
Catman, Panthers,
Demon Deacon, Leprechaun.
Coach K's hair. No?
It's the sun.
I don't see it.
Looks more like a moon.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped
On being a girl dad.
When I started practices in the morning at Ohio State and now at Carolina, so I'm home for, their basketball games, lacrosse games, volleyball games, coming home and sitting around the dinner table with Julie and all 4 of the girls and just listening to their stories of the day. It's just, doesn't get any better than that.
Well, he mentioned Julie, that's his wife, his 4 daughters, Sammy, Lucy, Abby, and Emily. And why is he wearing a hat?
He must not like that haircut.
I gave him a sick fade. I really took care of that guy. I mean, he looks like $1 million.
Carts Cuts is back. You got a little preview there, and I was in the room when you guys were filming yesterday. Struck such a great tone, in the aftermath of the tragedy with Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi. Being a girl dad, and you guys talked about that. You have a 9-year-old daughter. Just so powerful, the bond that a daughter and a dad share.
Oh yeah, my daughter, 9 years old, Payla, she's my best buddy in the world. I mean, we have so many passions together, lacrosse and snowboarding, and every day she comes home with a huge smile on her face. It's the highlight of my day, unequivocally, spending time with my little one.
What was interesting is Joe Bresci told us that family means so much to him, even back in the Ohio State days when he was the head coach there. They practice in the morning, so he makes sure he has dinner and family time at night. He's not stuck in the office all night.
But you know what that does, too? That speaks volumes from the standpoint that his players know that. And it really tells you that family's important. It's not just coach speak, right? He's actually doing it. He's implementing a system and a schedule that he can make that a priority, and these young guys can know that that's the way it should be moving forward as Cameron delivers again.
That's now 9 for North Carolina, the second goal of the afternoon for the sophomore Brian Cameron. This offense looks like they're in mid-season form.
You never want to blame a goalie, but I think this is a good opportunity to take Sean Collins out and at least let him catch his breath. Put him back in the game later, possibly. I'm not saying that all these goals are his fault, but they are absolutely feasting on this Colgate defense, and I think Collins, the goalie, would really benefit from a deep breath because this is an absolute onslaught.
Matt Carwick told us Sean Collins, the sophomore goalie, he's resilient. The most he played in a game was last year against Pat Spencer and Loyola. Gave up 21 goals in that game. But at the end of the game, he goes, that was rough, but I'll be better. And he goes, okay, I've got a good one here. I like the mentality, but this has been a tough start for this Colgate defense.
But it wasn't his show last year. Now it's his show, and you just see the onslaught.
Makes a good save there to deny Zach Tucci off the faceoff. Colgate in trouble again in the transition game. This has killed them so far. North Carolina's been relentless on the ride. They recover, though. finally take a breath and set up their offense.
When you're deep at the midfield, you can run your horses and be relentless in the ride and in the middle of the field. You can motor with your approach and really force Colgate into some tough spots. I think the middle of the field, North Carolina has completely owned. That obviously a mistake. But if you're Colgate, you want to play fast, but you also want to get into somewhat of a rhythm offensively. You're down right now 9-0. What's the identity of this 6-on-6 offense going to look like this season? That's what you want to see in these possessions. The score right now is irrelevant.
First flag of the game so far comes in the second quarter.
Wait, 31! 31 wide, interference with possession. 30 seconds.
It was away from the ball. See the penalty on...
It was Connor Marr, the sophomore.
Right in front of the crease. And Marr's one of the better short stick defenders in college lacrosse. I expect him to really assume that role this year where even though he's not a long stick out there, when they're playing defense, they feel comfortable with this guy up on anyone. If you're Colgate, watch Griffin Brown. 11 in maroon, 18 career man-up goals from this spot.
Putting the Tony Romo cap on. Read that one perfectly, and Brown delivers for Colgate's first goal. His 19th man-up goal in his career. He is Mr. Man-up.
When you turn on the tape, this is exactly what he wants. To plant his feet, to have a little giddy up and let it sling. And that is a beautifully placed ball on a big righty goaltender. You just know Griffin Brown is like salivating right there. Like, okay, you know, as a man-up guy, I'm like 2 passes away. Give me the ball. And if the rotation works the way it should, he's going to set his feet and let it rip.
We said North Carolina's already in midseason form. How about Paul Carcaterra already in midseason form?
Lax is back. You know, a lot of people complain, oh, February 1st. Let me ask you a question. If the season's never going to be pushed back, is it ever too early to start lacrosse?
Never.
Me, no. So unless you're pushing the sport back to June 15th or July 1st, give me more lax.
And how great is it? You might have caught ESPN as another penalty comes in. 53 regular season games between men's and women's lacrosse this season. And those are just the games that you'll see on linear television. 450 if you got ESPN Plus.
36. 1 minute.
450 tells me one thing. Get ESPN Plus if you like lacrosse. And Carolina goes in the extra man. This is interesting too. I'm anxious to see where Gray fits in this extra man. You'll see him at the top right now in the above the box. He's out of the picture right now, 4 and white. But look for some skip passes here when 4 and white has the ball. He will be a passer from up top. In the traditional 6-on-6 set, you see him behind right now. He's in the extra man. All the shooters are above goal line. He's a passer here. Look for him to just slice through the D with his passing ability.
Kept it, now passed it off, tried a trick play, and it pays off. North Carolina cashes in on the extra man.
Here are the pressure points if you're playing against North Carolina. You're worried about Gray. But Will Perry is a fantastic shooter, and he has been since the day he stepped on campus. He's a senior now. He loves that right-handed sidearm rip. And he is going to get that shot twice as much with Chris Gray. That shot was absolutely cold.
He led the team with 26 goals a year ago. Notches his first of this senior season. He's an assassin from deep.
Go!
This North Carolina attack has just been relentless. And if you look at Chris Gray, he just wants more.
I think he's been fantastic today in regards to letting the game come to him. I was thinking he was going to come out of the gate so anxious, going to the rack all the time. He really hasn't even gone one-on-one yet.
How about another for North Carolina? The Tar Heels cannot be stopped right now. William Perry. Back-to-back goals for the senior midfielder.
The baby fridge.
I like that.
Gets another one. Look at this right here. Perry, you saw him taking a pass from Gray in the prior goal. This one, all him. Takes his defender down the alley. So the defender is just worried about flushing him out, but you can't let him roll back to his strong hand. William Perry is not shooting that ball lefty. You know he's coming back righty. If you watch him play in your Colgate, you have to understand the personnel that when he's flying down that left alley, he is coming back to his right, and he understands that there's no pressure on his top side. Plant the foot, use the momentum, let it ride.
2 goals in 41 seconds for the senior William Perry. Did you see we put up the bio blast? The last one, did you see what it said?
I didn't.
Wants to work for Sports Center one day. He can maybe he'll make Sports Center tonight. If he could score a fancy goal, we'll put him on top 10. Another goal. That's 3 in a minute. And it's Lance Tillman, the freshman, with his first college goal. Watch out for this kid from Colorado. Joe Bresci says he could be a special one.
Yeah, I met him yesterday in the locker room. He was restringing his stick. I was a little worried. I'm like, Lance, you don't have your gamer ready? He was ready on that one, and you see the giant smile on his face after he scores his first career goal. This is what it's all about, man. It's a kid that dreamed of playing major Division I lacrosse and comes to Chapel Hill in the tradition of the Tar Heels, and look at the smile. That's the first of many, young man.
There are still 8 minutes and 27 seconds left in this second quarter.
Ouch.
This North Carolina offense leaves you speechless with how well they have started this season. You were saying yesterday and this morning, you expected them to be improved, but they've been flawless.
They have been. And it's allowing the defense to stay rested and really play with high energy when Colgate has the ball. Everything going right for the Tar Heels, everything going wrong for Colgate.
Petkovic, the double team comes, has to pass out of it. 30 seconds left on the shot clock for this Raiders offense. Trying to make something happen. Haven't had many possessions in this game.
You got to look at the clock. 8 seconds on the shot clock for Colgate. Got to go to the rack here.
Griffin Brown with 5, has to hurry. Petkovic sees that, went low, and guess who was there? Caden Johnson to meet him.
I like the offense. I think that's really good late shot clock offense. Griffin Brown with a really nice look. Got to work hard off ball.
Another thing to mention with this Colgate team, sophomores in the midfield, they've got 3 of them really first-line middies starting for the first time today as a unit. And they're going against seniors. But they're going against the North Carolina team that has been relentless with pressure. Matt Carwick said the big question mark is how these sophomores stack up. And so far, you see another turnover there. They just haven't been able to rise to that level of competition. 9 turnovers now. There's a flag down. It's a freebie for North Carolina here. This is Tanner Cook. Again, flag down.
Yeah, Colgate's offsides. Carolina was clearing the ball. One of their attackmen went over, so 7 on the defensive end. 8 with the goalie. That won't work.
That will not work.
This will be a 30-second penalty.
North Carolina goes back to the man up. Scored on their first opportunity just about 3 minutes ago with a William Perry goal. That was a 1-minute man up.
See Matt Carwick talking to Nicky Pekovic. In the offsides. I'm anxious to see this unit and where Gray fits in the extra man.
Kept alive and cashed in, Tanner Cook. It was on the ground and he just shuffled it into the back of the net to make it 13-1.
This is incredible. I thought this game heading in would be close at halftime. I thought Carolina, from a depth standpoint, had Colgate at the midfield. I mean, you mentioned the seniors, the 3 senior starters at the midfield, and they're backed up by some really young, promising stars. Colgate, really young with 3 sophomore starters and playing some freshmen there as well at the midfield. But I did not foreshadow this happening. I mean, 13-1. This Carolina offense is doing it. And the crazy thing about it is, as much as Chris Gray has come to the party as a goal scorer, we haven't even really seen what he's capable of doing. This guy can dominate a game with the ball in his stick, and he hasn't had to. So 13 goals in the first half, and your best player isn't even having to do what he does best.
Another flag down off the face-off, called against Tucci.
Third face-off violation. Inhome's going to serve it. Inhome is number 19. Number 19 from Carolina needs to serve it, please.
So it's the 3rd face-off violation
19.
against North Carolina, so Colgate goes on the man up.
It's a change of possession, or the other team is awarded possession when you violate your first and second time. The 3rd time, you're in the box.
For 30 seconds, Colgate's lone goal today came on the man up for Griffin Brown. He has 19 man-up goals in his career. They feed him here. Passing off Petkovic. 10 seconds left in the man up. And North Carolina, great man down defense to force the 10th turnover on Colgate today. Tar Heels last season, most goals they scored in a half were 11. And today they've opened up and they already have 13 with 4 minutes to go in this second quarter. We talk about last season. This is a new season, obviously. Last year, the dive coming back, it was all the talk. He kept kept being confused when we said goal mouth. What's a goal mouth? I've never heard that before. Well, now this year you can actually see it.
Yep.
As you see Sean Collins make a save inside the crease, it looks like a mouth.
Yeah.
And if you step inside that one or land inside that one, you're going to be in the box for a minute and no goal.
It's the half circle within the crease. If you land there, if you hit the goalie or you hit the goal, you're doing time. It's a minute penalty. The only time that it's not a penalty for the offensive player if the movement for the offensive player was away from the goal mouth and the defender penalized the offensive player by changing his trajectory and pushing him in that direction. But for all intents and purposes, you land in that goal mouth now, it is a penalty.
See, if they put 2 lacrosse balls on either side of the goal, it would look like a smiley face. I'll tell you who's smiling right now. The smiley face of Joe Bresci. His freshman, Lance Tillman, notches his second goal of the afternoon. It is 14-1.
Lance Tillman's got that newly strung stick, and he's hitting the back of the net. The beauty about sticks these days, when I was a kid, it would take a long time to break in a leather stick. Now these mesh sticks, these guys know exactly how they want it. You see, that thing is pearly white, right? He's got the new twig ready to go. He's stringing it yesterday, so an old caveman like myself looks at a kid day before a game and asks, why are you stringing your stick? But these guys know what they're doing now. They know exactly how they want it, and the mesh breaks in immediately.
And Tillman, a freshman from Colorado. You talk about hashtag grow the game, the growth of the sport. We are seeing more and more incoming freshmen from the West. In particular, Colorado has really fed a lot of programs, not just Denver, with a lot of lacrosse talent. Tried to squeeze that pass through. Colgate knocked it away. You're the Raiders. Obviously, this is not the way you wanted to start your season. Under 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, you're down 13. How can you reset and try and take some positives from this game in the second half?
I take chances. I mean, what do you have to lose? If your DNA this year was playing fast, play fast. Everything that you thought you were coming into this game, make the players in the second half believe that this is the type of lacrosse that you're going to play. I mean, don't look at it like, oh, we're losing 14-1 and we need to change things up. This is February 1st. At the end of the day, this game is not going to define your season. But your approach and the way that you play and who you are cannot change because you're getting absolutely trucked.
Fire! Jump!
This North Carolina team, they had their season end in a 14-13 loss to Virginia last year in the ACC Championship. We talked to some guys yesterday, they told us, that 1-goal loss to the eventual national champions, that has stayed with them all summer, all fall, and they were ready to get that taste out of their mouth. Well, the taste they have right now is a real good one, leading by 13. Coming up at halftime, we'll give you a look at the top 5 ranked teams to start the season. Paul Carcaterra with the breakdown, and we'll also preview Duke and Air Force, the second game of our ACC Network doubleheader to open up the 2020 season. Late to the party. That's been the story. Turnovers leading to offense. Chris Gray tried to score his 5th goal there. He has 4. Something maybe we didn't talk about enough is Colgate wants to play in transition, and North Carolina just simply did not allow them to do it.
It's been all... Really applaud the kid. His lacrosse IQ's off the charts. He understands that there's 6 guys on that offensive end, and they can feed off each other.
14 first-half goals, the most that North Carolina has scored in a half since the 2016 NCAA tournament when they put 16 on Loyola. And their offense gets right back to work. Here's Chris Gray. Lost his footing there, stays with it though. This time distributing to the mini fridge, and William Perry delivers.
That's Chris Gray. This is what you have to get accustomed to see. He's got 4 goals and 2 assists on the outing. But watch the way that he operates from behind the cage. And this is what North Carolina hasn't really had since 2016 when Stephen Pontrello occupied the similar spot. But Gray is a far superior passer than Pontrello. Pontrello was like that Dodger who just really went after you with the 50 goals. But Gray, at the end of the season, don't be shocked if he has 50 goals and 50 assists. But the vision of this kid is just spectacular.
49 goals, 62 assists last season. That was in the Patriot League for Boston University. You think he can hit 100?
I do.
In the ACC.
He's done it before. You can argue that he can get 100 without being the marked man he was at BU last year, right? Because teams have to deal with William Perry. Teams have to deal with Lance Tillman and Alex Trippi and Nicky Solomon. His supporting cast is better at North Carolina than it was at BU. BU had some good players. James Burrow is a 50-goal scorer. But after that, there was a drop-off. I think with Carolina, you can't just focus on Chris Gray.
Here's Gray. Tried to add another assist. Great save by Sean Collins. That should have been Gray's 3rd done.
Yeah, another spectacular pass by Foreign White.
4 goals, 2 assists. So 6 points. The North Carolina record for points in a game is 11. Colgate just got absolutely blitzed in this game, find themselves at a 14-goal hole. What do you think they talked about at halftime?
You would think that they want to approach this second half with a lot of energy and being assertive in the middle of the field. I mean, Coach Matt Carwick talked on our call a lot about wanting to press and push with 2-way middies. So the way that that's going to happen is find some of these sophomore midfielders, as you take a look at Matt, in the middle of the field, getting that ground ball on the defensive side by that restraining box and punt return clears and really playing fast. That's what you need to do if you're Colgate.
Play is stopped right now. Colgate waiting to restart. There's a fresh timer, 80 seconds on the shot clock. The officials talking with Joe Bresci and Matt Carwick.
Still, I can't believe he's not showing off that fresh cut. What's going on there?
I think maybe he went home.
Come on.
Maybe the wife didn't like it. Maybe Julie didn't like it.
There's no way you don't like it.
Kark's cuts back for season 2. Joe Bresci, that'll be the first episode.
We'll see. Got a couple in the hopper. Well, now that he's wearing a hat, we might never even put it on. He's a tremendous person. I love spending time with him. He's got a sense of humor. He's a spectacular human being.
30 years ago, he graduated from this school back as their head coach in his 12th season, brought them back to the promised lands with a national championship. But he talks so fondly of just this program and not just North Carolina lacrosse. He says he and his 4 daughters, they'll go to the volleyball games, the football games, soccer games, you name it, they're there.
Yeah, he loves volleyball because he really appreciates the fact they celebrate so much, right? Like after each point, there's that celebration and the camaraderie. One of his daughters plays volleyball. I think his oldest, Sammy, plays volleyball. You talk to people in the lacrosse world, I'm going to be honest, this sport is my life. I've really never heard anyone say a bad word about Joe Bresci.
I've never heard anybody say a bad word about Paul Carcaterra.
Wow. I'm sure when their teams are losing on Twitter, they did.
His team up 14, and he's still coaching. And he's making sure that hat doesn't fly off because the haircut underneath is so atrocious. Now, I am joking.
You better be joking, man. You got a free bowl of soup with your haircut.
I thought it was a great cut. It's a little chilly, and you cut it pretty thick. Yeah. Maybe it's just cold.
I have a Dominican barber named Jose, who I've been going to for a while, and he's a great person as well. And he gives it to me tight, so I give it to people tight.
You learned from Jose?
Yeah.
Our producer, John Kettering, got a haircut last night.
Yeah, I gave him one, and he went from looking like,
homeless person.
Yeah, mid-40s to an absolute stud that could be on the cover of GQ. Mission accomplished.
Wow. I mean, talk about not wanting to oversell.
I've never charged for a haircut in my life. I never will. It's more about the conversation and the companionship and having a good time.
You certainly do that, and we look forward to having a full season of players and coaches in the chair. Chris Gray again. He's looking for goal number 5. A dive attempt there in the crease. It'll be Colgate ball, but he was not in the goal mouth, so not a 1-minute penalty. Chris Gray, scoop, a pass off, trying to cash in on another Colgate turnover, and they do! Nikki Solomon makes it 16 for North Carolina.
Nikki's smiling. They've been really efficient in terms of how they've attacked Colgate off of mishaps. And Solomon just lets that one fly. What we didn't see prior to that was the nice one-handed shovel pass by Chris Gray. This team's going to be a pain to deal with, because now you have a squad that I feel with Chris Gray, you now allow all those other players to play their role and really maximize their strengths. I thought last year, when these guys from the midfield like Perry and Cook and Anderson had to be the primary dodgers, the offense just didn't flow as well. Now they're going to get balls off of quick transfers and ball movement and dodging off of poor approaches. I just think this offense is multifaceted and will give teams fits.
Colgate head coach Matt Carwick told us wants to play with 4 attackmen offensively. They have really been unable to do it so far because of the turnovers, lack of possession time. But they've been able to make those subs here, and it leads to a goal. 4 attackmen on the field, one of them James Cadigan in perfect position to scoop and score. That's a little bit more like it for the Colgate offense. That's the DNA that they want this season.
Well, Cadigan's Johnny on the spot, and he had a great season a year ago in terms of converting. Shoots 44%, which is is excellent, occupies the middle of that crease area so much, and what happens when you do that is you get those rebounds. And you understand when you're a guy like Cadigan, when a midfielder's dodging, you're not just looking for the pass from the midfielder. You are aware of the fact that if that guy goes to the rack and he shoots, you got to be ready for a rebound, and that's what Cadigan does.
Timeout taken by Colgate. Got possession, trying to learn something from this second half. North Carolina, though, in the driver's seat, up 16-2.
Low in the top 10, number 10, North Carolina. Well, if you're watching this game, you're saying to yourself, wow, this offense is for real. Chris Gray comes from BU after a 111-point season, completely injects life and confidence in this unit, and they're for real.
When you're voting on Sunday night, how far do you move them up?
Well, it's tough because some of these other teams are idle and don't start till next week.
Right.
You know, I didn't have them at 10 to begin with.
Where'd you have them?
I'd have to check, but I think they were around 7 or 8.
Quinn Kesnick had this team at 11.
Well, he also gave them some bulletin board material, too, if you're in their locker room yesterday.
Defenses look pretty good, although they haven't been tested all that much. You think Caden Johnson's one of the best goalies in the entire country?
I do. I just looked at my notes. I had him 8 in my last poll.
Chris Gray, 4 goals and 3 assists in his Tar Heel debut.
Head's always up, too. Watch when he's dodging, his head is never down. He's got really quick wrists, so he can snap that feed in just a moment's time.
10 seconds on the shot clock. Carolina has to hurry. Right off the top pipe. Resets the shot clock, though. Ryan Cameron came inches away from a hat trick.
That was a sick pass by Nicky Solomon, threading it to Cameron on the backside.
Another behind the back. Cameron has it. Double team comes in, and it's ripped away. But when you're up by 14, you can have some fun, take some risks with the behind the back passes.
When you watch this game midway through the third quarter, you're going to learn a lot about Colgate and their leadership just by how hard they play for the last 20-plus minutes of this game. And Coach Matt Carwick, he told us he liked his leaders, guys like Griffin Brown. But it's hard when you're getting beaten by 14 goals. It's easy to throw the towel, and you learn a lot about the character of your team, and you got to set that precedent now. February 1st is the first game of the season. This isn't going to define your year by any stretch, but how you always play and with the intensity, whether you're winning or losing, tells you a lot about the character of this team. So let's see how they respond in this last quarter and a half.
And it doesn't get easier for Matt Carwick's team. They go at Syracuse next Friday. That game's on the ACC network. And then at Princeton. So 3 really tough teams out of the gate.
Yep. And as Nicky Solomon hits another one, he's got some hoops on dock later on today. But here's the deal. Colgate plays Syracuse. They beat Syracuse last year up in the Dome. It gave them a lot of confidence, but then the wheels fell off the bus later in the season, finishing 4-9. They'll go to the Dome with confidence, but this Syracuse team is different too. I think North Carolina and Syracuse make this ACC such a gauntlet because last year, both of those teams were a little bit inconsistent. as Nicky Solomon, the sophomore, as you see that nice move. We've seen great passing by Solomon. We've seen some spot shots. We see him initiating his own offense like that. But when I look at the ACC as a whole, Syracuse and North Carolina are the most improved in the league, but they also might be the most improved teams in the top 15 in the country. You look at Syracuse's midfield, you can argue that's the best midfield in college lacrosse. I mean, you have Tucker Dordevic, who was out last year. He's an absolute beast. He's the best player on the team for my money. He's back. You have Brendan Curry, who's an All-American type player. Jamie Trimboli's been All-ACC and a 4-year starter, and that's just the first midfield. And they're deep. They run 6 or 7 guys as Carolina doing some time. Zach Tucci, the face-off specialist, scrapping it up. You know, it's not a penalty you want, but you like the effort. And you like the fact that, yeah, your team's winning by 15, but we're still playing hard. We're still playing hard.
I've been really impressed with that. They have not taken their foot off the gas for 1 second. Talking about depth in the ACC. Matters, North Carolina, 6 players with 2 or more goals in their opener. We're still at the 3rd quarter. Colgate scored their first goal on a man up. They're going to get the ball. Now flag comes in.
Red, number 5, trip. 1 minute. Red, number 5, trip.
Trip was the call. Take another look.
You know, a lot of times when a ref from their angle sees pressure and then the guy goes down like that, it looked like he might have even tripped over his own feet.
So 5 on 5 for 17 seconds. North Carolina has the ball. Chris Gray has it in his stick. 4 goals and 3 assists in his Tar Heel debut coming over from BU.
They'll wait this out and then go extra. So let the penalty clock, as you see on the right side of your screen, go down to 0. In terms of being 5 on 5, now you're extra for the 42. This is what you want.
Two for 3 on the man up today. Here's Chris Gray. Thought about it. Extra pass, and it pays off. Another North Carolina goal. And this one belongs to Nicky Solomon.
I'm really impressed with Gray's patience. This guy isn't like forcing the ball because he wants to get a ton of points here. He knows where the rotation needs to go. He knows where the soft spot is in the defense. And Nicky Solomon has been asserting himself in this second half. 3 goals, and I mentioned earlier in the first half, this guy has a jammed-packed schedule. He's a kicker on Mac Brown's Tar Heel football team. Goes to 2 practices a day a lot of times, he was telling me yesterday. It's nuts. Not to mention school and spending some time with your buddies. Not many hours in the day are free for Nicky Solomon.
North Carolina, new goalkeeper, Jack Pizzula, freshman from Maryland, went to Georgetown Prep. He's in for Kate Johnson.
Pizzula actually was a starter certain spots in his college career, kind of sandwiched between the Brian Balcom era and Caton Johnson. Pizzula was a monster recruit. coming out of boys Latin.
Senior, that's right, not a freshman, a senior. He'll get the time for the remainder of this game. Johnson's stat line, a good one. 9 saves, only 2 goals allowed. We'll take that.
Right back here, right back here. Come on back, feet.
Would you let any of the attackmen or midfield play in the fourth quarter, or they've done enough?
You know, I think you're going to have some regulars that are younger guys. I want to see a dose of like a Lance Tillman. He'll be playing in big games, but I think he needs minutes. He's a freshman. The Schertzinger twins, the sophomore middies, give them a lot of runs in this second half. I mean, they're going to be regulars, but not a ton of game experience to date. So, do I watch how much I put in Chris Gray? 100%. Do I keep Will Bowen out of this game, who's a freshman who had a red shirt last year with the leg injury? Keep him off.
College lacrosse season opening up today, February 1st on the ACC network. We're only game 1 of 2. Great doubleheader right down the road. Air Force and Duke coming your way right after us, right here on the ACC network.
Quint Kesnick and Chris Cotter on that call. 2 meatheads.
Give any of those guys a haircut?
I've given Quint a bunch. I'm going to give Cotter. Just got to get Cotter away from the gym. All he wants to do is lift weights.
Pump iron.
Yes. The biggest biceps in the company. And I don't even need to.
You got a lot of former players, though.
Cotter's biceps. They look like, yeah, they're obviously huge. He needs some work on his calves. We know that. But his arms are so big, they look like implants.
Bigger than Marcus Spears?
They stand out more because Marcus is so big. Cotter's arms, like if you look at the ratio of the rest of his body, yes.
Certainly on the lacrosse staff, he's got everybody doubled up. Although I think Brickley gives him a run for his money.
Please.
North Carolina came out of the gate with Chris Gray. He had 4 first-quarter goals. And they have built a 16-goal lead as we tick to about a minute to go in this third quarter.
Got the first midfield on for the Heels. All seniors. Anderson, 21. Perry, 3. Cook, 77. All 3 of these guys have logged crazy minutes heading into their senior year. So wealth of experience, and now they have an attack that's maturing. I look at all 3 of these guys. Their numbers will really spike this year.
7 combined goals out of North Carolina's 18 between that first line midfield. There's Anderson trying to tee up Tillman. Didn't handle it cleanly. 16-goal lead for UNC. Colgate trying to nick one at the end of this third quarter. 16 goals in lacrosse. For new fans out there, what's the equivalent lead in a game like football?
It's like when Alabama is beating a team, I don't know, 56-7. Feel like that?
Not like that.
Yeah, 7 touchdown lead.
And when you're up 7 touchdowns, you take 2 out of the game.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing. I would put them in if you go extra man again, because I think that unit really needs to see some live type action. Your extra man, you got to get them flowing earlier in the season, understanding the plays and the schemes.
North Carolina taking a 16-goal lead to the fourth quarter. College lacrosse is back, and you're watching it on the ACC network.
What's my safe flight story? I spend a lot of time in my truck. It's my livelihood. So I'm not taking any chances when something happens.
Kesnick after us right here on the ACC Network with Duke and Air Force. Colgate cashing in on the extra man. Mike Hawkins, the junior, camping out. Great start to this fourth quarter for the Raiders.
I love this play, and I'll tell you why. Griffin Brown is a shooter first. For this Colgate offense to really mature this year, he has to be a distributor. This is a fantastic pass. Just bolts it to the backside, threads it through the Carolina defense. Money pass by Griffin Brown, and Mike Hawkins delivers.
You look at the landscape of the ACC, 5 teams in the top 10 to start the season. Is this the best the league has been talent-wise?
I think it's the most balanced. The best, I'm not ready to go there yet. You know, there were some great teams in the ACC in the mid-2000s, and Duke had the Jordan Wolfs and the Miles Jones of the world, and Syracuse with Randy Stotts and Kevin Rice, Notre Dame with Matt Cavanaugh and Perkovic. There were some really, really good teams. But from 1 to 5, I think this is the most balanced we've seen, which provides excitement, unexpected moments throughout the course of the season. You can't tell me that, like, there's 2 teams and then everyone else, right?
Oh, no. Every team could finish 1. Every team could finish 5.
Yeah.
North Carolina showing that right now. They were picked 5. But they could finish 1.
Sure. And you look at, you know, Duke was picked 2 in a lot of the preseason rankings. The health of Joe Robertson, that could change the complete look of their offense and how they attack. I like Griffin Brown, though. I think this kid, if he gets the touches, if there's pieces around him, and Colgate giving UNC a little dose of their own medicine with the press ride here, I think Griffin Brown could be a legit player. He's shown me some stuff today.
Home run pass pays off. Here's Alex Trippy trying to weave his way through. Hail Mary. That's just the kind of day it's been for North Carolina. Everything has come up Tar Heels in this game. This is Henry Schertzinger, a sophomore that has a lot of potential for this Tar Heels team. Joe Bresci really excited about him.
What I like about this midfield unit, you're going to see the Schertzinger twins a lot with Matt Gavin, and they complement one another. Matt Gavin has a lot of attack background. He's a really good lefty shooter. Put him around some north-south Dodgers like the Schertzingers. Ryan O'Connell, 17 in white. Gavin can emerge.
8 seconds on the shot clock. Second unit in midfield and attack, and Colgate comes away with a turnover. Looking for some transition offense, breezed by Mike Hawkins.
Yeah, that's not going to work. He shot that ball with a flat angle. And actually stepping down away from the cage with that slight angle. The only way that's going to work for Hawkins is if he plants his foot and continues to move upfield to increase his angle. And he just stepped in the crease.
Great start to the season for North Carolina. We've talked a lot about the ACC. Taking a look at a bigger picture, the landscape in general. Give me a sleeper team. Maybe ranked, maybe unranked right now, but ranked like 10 to 20 that you think could make an impact this college lacrosse season.
Lehigh. The sleeper, yeah, I think they returned Pettit at attack. He was a 60-plus point scorer. He was out last year. Canadian senior attackman. I think he's a pro-type player. They have 2 really high-end face-off guys, I think Lehigh is a sneaky team that fits that description that you threw at me. That's selling out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the hustle from both teams, you would not think this is a 15-goal game. Every ground ball is being battled for.
That's what you want to see. Two more sleeper teams, Army, another Patriot League, and I think Towson. Army has Brendan Nichtern, who, as a freshman, had the most productive season statistically in Army history. And then Towson, I just think Sean Nadelin is just such a fantastic coach. He finds a way every single year to get the most out of his players.
You were just up at Army giving a haircut.
I was with Nichtern. Great kid. Watched practice too. I mean, he's a bull. He is a lot to handle when he gets around goal line extended.
The opener to the 2020 season rolls on. After us, it's Duke and Air Force, North Carolina winning comfortably.
Americans come to LendingTree.com to compare and save on loans, credit cards, and more. But with the new LendingTree,
JT Giles Harris, for my money, is like a lockdown corner. It's like having like a Richard Sherman. Your best guy, I'm going to take him out of the play. These are other guys to watch. Not necessarily the top 5 players left in the ACC, but guys who can pop this year. A guy like Tucker Dordovic, who missed last year due to injury. Chris Gray, obviously. And then Costabile is the reigning Offensive Player of the Year in this conference.
Do I get an ACC Offensive Player of the Year pick?
Who are you picking?
Chris Gray. Colgate,
you're living in the moment.
Off the pipe.
I appreciate that you live in the moment. He certainly can be in the running. That's why I had him as one of my 5 guys. I think he's going to pop this year.
He's popped so far at his Tar Heel debut. His day's likely done with 4 goals and 3 assists for Gray as Colgate pulls one back through Marshall Terrace.
Hats off to Griffin Brown, who's a kid that just has not given up in this game. We've seen passes from him. We've seen outside shots on the extra man. He's in this game, and as a senior, and it's February 1st, and your team's just getting dominated. Your effort in the way you approach this 4th quarter can dictate how you guys move forward. This game's not going to dictate your season, but the approach that you have will trickle down to the rest of the year. And you have to continue to press if you're Colgate.
Zach Tucci still in the game for North Carolina. He was 50% on the number last year. 164 wins, 164 losses from the X. Today, he's got 15 face-off wins.
And only a freshman a season ago. Looks like he put on some weight. And you need that because of the beating that you're going to take going against these monsters in the ACC.
Last year's biggest margin of victory, you see there 11, on pace to blow right by that, a 14-goal lead here. And really, when the starters came out, it was 18-2. That first unit, they couldn't feel any better than the performance they delivered to open this season. Flag is a freebie for North Carolina as they look to go on the extra man. There's 2 flags actually down in that far side of the field. Saved by Collins. It's been a tough day at the office for the sophomore goalie for the Raiders. Let's get the calls.
2 penalties. Red 39. Slash. 1. Red 39. Trip. 1. Same. 2 penalties. Same guy.
Both penalties against Will Sederi, the sophomore defenseman. You see him here.
Hard to argue. Maybe that second one I wasn't completely convinced of, but certainly had the sound effects.
2 men up. North Carolina, they've done okay just at even strength, and now you give them a 2-man advantage.
Well, this isn't their A-list extra man team because Chris Gray's on the sideline, so Coach Bresci's keeping those 6 guys out there, which is good sportsmanship, not piling it on.
No need to, right? They've shown what they're about.
Some heat. Laidman wants one there. He was the one who was getting beaten down, too. Drew those 2 penalties, 30 white, showing you he can let it fly.
The midway through the penalty, 2-minute penalty at Sederi. Colgate goes into their offense, but they're a man down. Griffin Brown's got 2 of the Raiders' 4 goals this afternoon. He's been one of the lone bright spots. This team has to regroup quickly. They play Syracuse in the Dome 6 days from now, and then they go at Princeton. So a gauntlet for this Colgate team to open the season.
Really good. You got to deal with Chris Gray, then that Syracuse midfield, and then Michael Sowers, who's about as dominant as a dodging attackman as you will find.
Colgate moves back to even strength, and they have to hurry. 5 seconds on the shot clock. See if they notice it. They do. It's North Carolina possession. So many things to choose from, Clark, but what has impressed you most about North Carolina in this opener?
Balanced offense and showing different ways to attack. You know, it wasn't just like Chris Gray coming from the end line and initiating, being the quarterback. We saw more of an off-ball approach for Gray in his first game at UNC. But I saw a little bit of everything. I saw stretch shooting, I saw great passing, I saw inside game. They were multiple on offense today.
Offside on North Carolina, 7 guys in the box, 8 if you include the goalie, so freebie for Colgate here.
How about this venue, too?
This is beautiful.
Yeah, last year they started playing on it, but all the bells and whistles weren't in year 1. Now they are. Wow, this facility is top shelf in college lacrosse. And I'm a huge fan, too. There's no football lines. Love watching lacrosse, especially on TV when it's just lacrosse lines.
Dorrance Field, and you said it, Clark, they did play some last year. Notches a hat trick, the senior with his 3rd goal. But now, you know, and again, it's only February 1st, and the field really well taken care of. It's been a great way to start this season.
Pekovic, a senior to another senior, and if I was to talk to Griffin Brown after this game, I would say, young man, you play with effort and heart, because his team was getting crushed, and I just love what he's done in this second half. I've seen great passes from him. I've seen him going to the rack, some stretch shooting. And it's not easy, man. When your team is just really getting dominated, you just want that game to end. But you can't if you're a competitor.
You ever been on one of the receiving ends of these?
Yeah. My senior year, Brown came to the Dome. Greg Catrano was the National Goalie of the Year. He completely stuffed us cold. They trucked us, and they were not a better team. Our team went to the Final Four, and I know if you're a Brown alum, you're probably saying, well, we beat you that day. You did beat us that day. You killed us that day. But that game kind of propelled us for the rest of the season because it was humbling. It was one of, 2 losses we had in the regular season. We were beating teams like Virginia and Johns Hopkins and all of these powers on our schedule, and then Brown, and they were a good team in the Ivy, but they weren't the best team in the Ivy. Princeton was back then. They really handed it to us, and we kind of had to reset.
That's how you respond, right? Your season's not going to be defined by one regular season game, especially on February 1st.
But the message that day over 20 years ago was, don't take teams lightly, as Alex Trippy states that, because there's enough great teams and players back then, 20-something years ago. There's certainly enough today that if you don't take a team seriously, they'll smack you in the mouth. Trippy, we haven't really called his name much, but this is a heads-up play because defender turns his back. Trippy just goes. And you want to see that from guys like Alex Trippy, because when you play with Chris Gray, he is going to get you the rock this season. So find ways, like have it part of your muscle memory that you're always moving and you're finding seams in a defense off ball, because he will get you the ball. I've seen it enough.
Talk about Colgate not getting too down based off one game. For North Carolina, the same thing could be said. You don't want to get too up. That false sense of, man, we are just absolutely rolling because you got off to a fast start.
Well, I think this senior class hasn't accomplished enough to ever really get into that mindset, to be honest with you. They came off the team that won a national title. Their freshman year was 2017. The Tar Heels won it in 16. This team hasn't gone on playoff runs. This senior class hasn't experienced any of those highs. So they're going to take a bit of those 3 years prior to this year and build. So this is just step one for them. I mean, you can't think that next week's going to be a piece of cake or the week after. And you haven't had that success. So to me, this senior class has no other approach than to be hungry. Enough says on that graphic.
Since that 2016 title, pretty much 500.
Yep. I want to thank everyone in the truck. Ryan Fulham doing graphics. Fantastic job today. I mean, that's a 500 record. That is not up to speed and to par for a program with rich history. That's not going to cut it.
Goals, you still see hustle plays from North Carolina. That one from the senior Patrick Lyons. They're playing like his 1 or 2 goal game. It's now 25 turnovers from Colgate. 25.
How about for Carolina?
Carolina's got 16, but a lot of those have come in this fourth quarter.
But they've also been way
loose with the ball.
No. But I just think volume of offensive touches. They've doubled the Colgate offensive touches. They've dominated the ball.
Fourth goal of this fourth quarter for Colgate. That one from Ryan Decker. The score won't look, and it'll still look bad, but not as bad as the 18-2 that North Carolina laid on this Raiders team the first 3 quarters of this game.
If you look at Colgate and the way they're built, Ryan Decker will have to be the guy at midfield. Griffin Brown moves to attack. Decker, only a sophomore, will be the guy throughout the course of the year who will have a long pole on him. Teams will really highlight him in their scouting report as the guy who could shake a defender down. They'll put the long pole on him. He's going to have a big year.
Right after we finish here, your college lacrosse season opener continues on the ACC network with Duke and Air Force. It's been a great start to the season. What a fun year we have looking ahead. A loaded schedule, 53 regular season games on linear TV, 450 games on the app. We've been very fortunate to be #1 in this college lacrosse season. A lot of lacrosse left between now and Memorial Day weekend. Chris Gray may have fueled this Tar Heels performance, but really a balanced and deep North Carolina team that's ready to compete in a loaded ACC. Picked 5th, and they came out with that chip on their shoulder early in this game.
There will be no gimmies in ACC play with these 5 teams all in the top 10 nationally. If this is your 5th ranked team out of 5 teams in the ACC, good luck.
North Carolina will let this clock tick away. Colgate puts one in with 1.1 seconds left. The closest the game has been since the first quarter.
Look who it is again.
4 goals for Griffin Brown, the senior, returning leading scorer. Keeps fighting until the very last second in this game.
I love this kid's mentality. He's been outstanding. In a game where your team is really struggling and it's your senior year, this is not the way that you want it to start. They waved off the goal. Too many men on the field for Colgate, but
waved it off.
Regardless, the effort of Brown, Colgate can build off that. North Carolina can build off the fact that they have so many weapons on offense, led by this guy right here, Chris Gray and Coach Bresci.